This morning, we wanted to share with you, we had our annual business meeting last Sunday evening, and we've not done this specifically ever before, but it'll probably be something we do going forward, is once a year just to kind of settle in on a Sunday and share with our Sunday morning congregation, our family, some things that God's doing in the church and some things we're kind of dreaming about and that are going to be happening this year that we know already. Some things we don't know. We do this every year. I dream every year. What are you going to do this year, God? And we start working toward those things. But so many times those things happen and then so much more. Like things we can't even think about. We don't even know. And so we're completely flexible, and our leadership's completely flexible and saying, God, this is our calendar. This is the resources. This is the place you've put us to be stewards over that. And you do with it what you will. Like you show us, you breathe life into it, and we're just going to follow. We're going to go all in. Even when the resources aren't there, we're going to go and you're going to provide it. Because we know as God calls, he equips. Even in your own life, as he calls you into something, he will equip you. He will gift you. He will give you the things you need to do his work. I want to start just kind of with this thought of mine. Early on in our church, we preached through Nehemiah, and I might go back there soon. I don't know. I felt a little stirring this week about it, but we're going to kind of come from the context of Nehemiah this morning. It's an amazing book. If you've never read the book of Nehemiah, it's incredible. It's about a man. He was the cupbearer to the king, Nehemiah, his namesake. And he's originally from Jerusalem, but he's not in Jerusalem anymore. But he gets word in Nehemiah chapter 1 that the people in Jerusalem are just downtrodden. They've been beaten down. They've been taken into captivity. This is the word he heard in verse 3. It says, "They said to me, things are not going well for those who return to the province of Judah. They are in great trouble and disgrace. The wall of Jerusalem had been torn down, and the gates had been destroyed by fire." He found about his people back in Jerusalem. They were going through a really bad time. And then he says this in Nehemiah 1:4. It says, "When I heard this is Nehemiah, it says, I sat down and wept." Maybe you can get a sense of that. Maybe if you've been watching the news lately and seeing what's happening in Ukraine. Even that's not the place you're from. But you can see like the fear on people's faces. We watched an interview last night with a mom that was there and was in the metro system just living underground and trying to figure things out. And so you can imagine if this was your hometown. But how often have we wept for our neighbors and what they're going through? Before God can really do a movement in a community, we got to have our hearts broken for the lost and the people around us. Like it starts there with sitting down, weeping. And it says, in fact, for days I mourned, fasted, and prayed to the God of heaven. And so what I love about Nehemiah is there's no miracle. There's no God just split the Red Sea and they moved through. God works through people in Nehemiah to do miraculous things, which I believe is how he works through the church. And I believe we can be the miracle to so many other people. We can be the answered prayer to other people that they walk away like, this is for sure God was in the middle of this. And so that's our heart this morning, is to just share a little bit about this. I do want to share, we did approve last Sunday. We've had a mission statement for some time, which is this: to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. We want to share the good news. We want to equip believers to become leaders. We want to unite believers to serve our community by demonstrating compassion on our neighbors. We didn't come up with that. That's straight from Scripture. Go and make disciples. That's the Great Commission. Great Commandment is love your neighbor. That's the two things we're called to do. And so that's what we want to empower and equip and inspire all of you to do. But we've not really put in writing what our vision is, and so this is something that we developed over the last few months that we just feel speaks to who we are, speaks to everything we've done from the beginning, and it's to see our community experience Jesus in real and relevant ways. How many of y'all remember the time you experienced Jesus in a real and relevant way, like he showed up in your life in very tangible ways? I'll give you one example of how this played out in the last few weeks. I got connected with this guy from Lexington that runs Young Life. It's a statewide youth group, and he knew the person who does it in North Carolina. And I get this text intro to this person that's coming to Kentucky to do some rotations at the hospital. Her name is Anna Smith. That's in the text. Finally meet her, find out it's Anna. But for a while, she was Anna in our world. And so she's coming up here, and she's in college. She's in PA school, and she's doing a rotation at the hospital. She's living in Knoxville, her and her husband. And so she starts texting. She said, "Hey, I'm bringing a van that I've made into a place I can live in. Like, I'm only going to be there 5 weeks. I can't rent something. I can't afford a hotel. We just bought this old van and made it into a place I could sleep, and I need a place to park it." And I was like, this is interesting. Me and Beth were kind of talking, and it was like, well, I mean, I guess we could just let her park it in the church parking lot. Why would we not do that? And so we let her park in the church parking lot. I was like, just here's our gate code, park in the church parking lot. The first night she gets here was the night of the Super Bowl party, and so she parks out there in the youth group. They were all in here. She comes in. You know, Chris's wife, Billy, is a PA. So here she's coming to a place she has no idea where she's going, new state, new town. And the first night she's got a safe place to park her van. She's met somebody that's connected to her that, like, oh, that's kind of like a God story. I'm talking to somebody who's gone through what I'm going through. And so then we have dinner with her this week, and she said, I called my dad and said, I'm okay. I'm on Main Street. I'm in a parking lot. Like, God has worked it out. That's meeting people. That's making Jesus real. Like, it changed my circumstances today. It erased fear. It erased doubt. It did real things. And it met me like I needed a parking lot. That's pretty relevant. Okay, so that's what our heart is to do. That's what our heart is to be. And we'll kind of just keep that in mind as we walk through this morning. So some things that happened last year, reflect on it just a bit. We entered into this partnership with Southland Church, and it was not like we're still New Beginnings. We are still our own church, but we are cooperating and partnering with Southland Church to do things here, but also to dream big things throughout the region in a movement called Together for the Mountains. We're just starting to build this. It was birthed last year. It's going to be launched this year. And as part of that, we did see like Rooted Church. Michael Clark and Whitesburg came out of that partnership. And a new church is on their 4th Sunday this morning, and they're having chicken and dumplings. So I'm just dropping some hints. They're 4 Sundays in, they're having chicken and dumplings. That'd be all right, next month whenever y'all want to make some chicken and dumplings. So other things happened. Last year, we purchased the boxing gym facility, Battle Line, that we'd been leasing and doing some after-school programming. God blessed us, and we were able to purchase that building. We started praying about this idea of our church, this building being a community center, and then we started. Imagine if it says New Beginnings Life Center or Community Center, how that changes us from having church on Sunday morning and then having kids stuff on Wednesday. Like, this is a lot of space to be in here 4 hours, like as a group, a week. You get what I'm saying? Now, Chris and I are working here. There's a lot of stuff happening here, but I'm saying how we bless the community with this space. What can we do? What's the need? How can we help? And so one of those things that popped up last year was the community college. They started doing some GED testing here. Just like we prayed, like, all right, well, there's a thing. Let's help. So we're getting to meet these students that are taking GED tests, coming through this door, knowing God and met them. It's pretty real. It's pretty relevant. We love that. Let's see. Probably the most exciting thing that happened last year has a name. And the name is Chris Bartley. Come on, you got to clap for that. And the name has an even better name attached to it, Billy Bartley. His wife, who went all in and said, let's go on this crazy risk we're going to take and go to New Beginnings and see our own New Beginnings. So I'm going to get Chris to come up. He came on last year as our discipleship pastor, and that he's found out that means everything. And we're 3 months, 4 months in, and so we are just having this awesome journey. He's overseeing. He is our youth pastor, so middle school and high school kids, he's teaching them every Wednesday night. He's also overseeing all the curriculum, the development, the planning, the prep, the volunteers for upstairs kids ministry on Wednesday nights, the New Beginnings kids stuff in the morning. He's overseeing prepping for Sundays. He's doing pastoral care. He's meeting with many of you in counseling, and Billy is all in on all those things. She's cooking on Wednesday night. She's counseling people. She's helping people. She is as much a part of this ministry as Chris is, and we're so thankful to have them. And I think you all can feel the level of like more stuff's happening. Like we're just empowering and unleashing God to do more stuff, and we're just a few months in. So we're excited to have him. We're going to walk through just a few more things here about the last year, and then we'll dream a little together. We're just going to sit in these chairs. See these? You thought, why are those chairs there? Look, this is why.
I was hoping they'd be chicken and dumplings.
I know. I keep dropping hints. Maybe next time. Yeah. But we just want to talk to you a little bit about some things we've seen happen. I'll move a little bit further away, and then talk a little bit about some dreams. Let's see. We got some numbers we're going to throw up. Not throw up. That was wrong. We got some numbers we're going to put on the screen.
And you think, why are we talking about numbers? Well, these numbers, there's a whole book in the Bible named Numbers.
That's true.
So they have to be important. But the first number that we came on was 10. What is 10? 10 baptisms last year, right? That deserves a, right? Yeah,
new life, raised to new life.
And so each number represents an eternity that is different today because of the work and things that have happened here. Those 10 people are now reaching out to a community that's been broken and lost. 10 people got baptized in the middle of a pandemic when they were saying, don't meet, don't get together, stay apart. 10 people from darkness to light.
Amen. Exciting thing, next Sunday, we got three baptisms next Sunday with 3 siblings. Let's see, we got Peyton, Baisden, and Hadley. Right? Did I get those right?
Yep.
Yeah, so excited for them. We got to pray with them last Sunday after church, and so excited to see them get baptized next Sunday. 100, that's the number of free lunches that we give out each week at Faith Life Market. Emily Kingery, who leads that ministry and helps so much there. And so many volunteers, I can't start naming, but we're so thankful. About 60 of those usually go to Myers Tower. Every Tuesday, 60 people at Myers Tower have lunch provided for them because of this, because of you all. You all are part of that.
Right? 60 and 127. When we started the year, we had 60 kids coming on Wednesday night. Last Wednesday night, with the tournaments and everything in the world going on, we had 127.
On a Wednesday night.
That's just on Wednesday night.
If we counted how many people are in here right now after the kids went upstairs, it might be 127. So can you get a feel for what that, and that's not counting like 25 to 30 volunteers that are here on Wednesday night. Like God is doing things in that place that's just awesome.
Even when the kids were released just a minute ago, man, like I seen a couple of you guys just like me looking around going, man, that is awesome.
It is awesome. 2,957, number of customers at Faith Life Market. People walk through the door, got a coffee. Let me see, I got a number here. 4,938 lattes.
I think Abby's responsible for that.
That's a lot of lattes. A lot of lattes. That's hard to say. And most of those, as we get the opportunity to, they have scripture on them. They're connecting back. Like these are people who are getting exposed in very real and relevant ways. Wait, Jesus just gave me a latte. That's pretty cool.
That's awesome. 51,968 and 2 cents. Right? That's how much money we sent other places. That's how
outside these walls.
Yeah, right? And so that's a kingdom vision. That's not a church focus. That's a kingdom focus. That's thinking of things beyond what all those other numbers. This one is so impressive.
It is, because it helps support Faith Life Market. It helps support the boxing gym, the battle line, so after-school ministries, the Do-for-One ministries we do. We paid power bills. We bought people appliances that people requested. We supported the West Care program, Appalachian Pregnancy Care Center, a missions group in Gulu, Uganda, care for people during funerals and hospitals. Megan Williams on a mission trip to an Indian reservation in Montana, I think is where she went, helped and rooted church and their lunch. Like, these are things that are not at all about our comfort or our experience. Like, we got a heart to be strong internally and outwardly focused. Right. Like, you can do both of those things at the same time. But I'm just so thankful. We said early on, we said we're going to give 10% back every month of whatever God gives us in tithes and offerings, whatever you all provide. We're going to take 10% of that and just bless the community with it. That is more than 10% because we had people give directly to that for certain things last year, including purchasing the gym and different things. But this was, man, what a year to give $50,000 away. Man, it just feels so good to see how, and you know what God does? He blesses when you give. You really can't outgive him. Like the church, we gave that much away. We were in a better financial position at the end of 2021 than we were at the beginning. And only God can do stuff like that. And so super, super thankful. Okay, so we've talked enough about last year. We want to kind of share some dreams and things we're working on for this year. Again, connect them back to this, see our community experience Jesus in real and relevant ways. In the book of Nehemiah, when Nehemiah gets on his heart, he's like, I want to rebuild the walls in Jerusalem. I just believe God can do that. See, what had happened in Jerusalem is people had become complacent and they'd accepted the status quo. Are you hearing me? There were things that they said, that'll never be different. Some of you said that about your neighbor. Some of you said that about your own life. Some of us have said that about this place. And all it took was one person in Nehemiah and be like, I think it can. Mm-hmm. I think God can make anything different. I think God is supernatural and has the power to do incredible things. And so he gets permission and goes back to Jerusalem, and he gets there and he surveys the walls, and he does it by night at first, and then he gathers all the people together, and he says this, but now I said to them, you know very well what trouble we are in. Let's be for real. Can we be for real for a minute in Pikeville? Like, there are broken families all around us. Like, there is stuff, our kids are being bombarded with things that are not godly. And us as parents are being real tempted to be like, all right, it's okay this once. Or yeah, you can watch that, or you can't watch this, or you can, like, it's real, like, easy to start just letting things that are not kingdom building and healthy creep in to those things. And Nehemiah, he said, let's be honest for a minute about the trouble. Let's talk about addiction. Let's talk about the fact that people coming out of addiction don't have the programs and the services they need to be loved back into hope and opportunity. I mean, we can talk about all these things like we're in a mess. And he says, Jerusalem lies in ruins and its gates have been destroyed by fire. And he just said, let us rebuild the wall. That's our heart here in this place at New Beginnings, is taking all these people that God's called together and say, hey, let us rebuild the walls of our community. Let's bring our community back. Let's reach out to the lost. Let's share the truth, the good news, the gospel with them, and see God work in their lives in an amazing way. So rebuild the wall of Jerusalem and end this disgrace. And so he does that through leadership development. And so that's one of our 3 strategies, things that God's put on our heart to say, this year, 2022, we got to have more people leading, stepping up, taking ownership. Let's see how we Oh, so we're just going to share some of these opportunities you'll see this year to get plugged in and help. And so we got some serving opportunities right now in like our media team. What's the media team? Production, media team, back here. Sound, video, live stream, camera operator, like all these things. If you are technology savvy, like I just wonder how God could use me in that. We could show you.
Yes, we can.
We could use a team back there because we're going to share some more things that we're going to need more people. Okay, and so we're working on that hospitality team, greeters in the morning, coffee, creative arts like website development. All these things are the space we're moving into right now. So if you've got any of those gifts, and you're like, I'd love to use that for God, we'd love to have you and talk to you about how you can volunteer in that role and help us as we build this out.
And so part of that is development. Like he said, we talk about training and helping people step into being a leader. Like all those kids that go upstairs, we had a couple of options. Like one, we talked about putting a submarine door where you could just seal it tight, and then in an hour open it and just let them back out. That probably wouldn't work. And so
It'd work.
Kind of. Just throw chicken in there.
Chicken nuggets.
Yeah, and figure it out like ketchup and just let it figure it out. You know? But what we identified is we had an amazing core of volunteers that were pouring into these kids every week, and it was almost us doing an injustice to them because we were just saying, all right, go. And so we fine-tuned some things, and we've had one meeting already. But we're doing these quarterly training sessions in here. And last time we had it, we probably had 30 people or so in here who help with our youth and our children's ministry, whether that be on Sunday morning or Wednesday night. And so last time was kind of like we just got together and we loved on each other and we had some fun. Mm-hmm. We talked about where we're going. And the best thing that happened is we made a circle around this place and we prayed. I mean, like we poured our hearts out. And it was amazing. And so we got another one coming up pretty soon, and we're going to get into some nuts and bolts of what's happening and help turn on some lights and cut them loose because, man, we got some amazing volunteers. And you probably, next week is the result of what volunteers are doing. Yeah,
absolutely. The other thing that part of this business meeting was to add an additional part-time position here at the church, a ministry administrative assistant. And so this would be somebody that just help coordinate all the different ministries and things that are going on. So if that's something that it'll probably be 25 to 30 hours a week. If that's something on your heart that you're interested in, we're going to be posting that opportunity here soon. And this is like putting fun, exciting stuff like database management. Anybody go, yes, I'm in?
Ooh.
Nope. Coordinating some schedules and events here, making sure all of our children's volunteers' background checks get completed. All of these, incoming mail, maybe some assisting the treasurer with some bookkeeping things. And so this is just a position we feel to be good stewards of what God has given us. We need somebody to help us coordinate, organize, and be on that side for us. So that's another thing happening this year.
Small group leaders. Man, we've talked a lot about the kids and stuff, but we've had some small group leaders step up to be able to offer these things that are happening starting this week. We've been able to help provide them with material and some basic things on how to get started and how to get going. And so those are going to be fabulous. If you're not in a group, I recommend that you try to be a part of those because there's going to be a lot of growth that happens. You're going to watch little communities form and people be able to do life together through these groups. It's going to be kind of like bringing somebody over for dinner, except for Mike's not going to cook. But it's going to be kind of like sitting around the kitchen table. You ever have one of those nights where like you and some friends just sit around and you talk about Jesus, right? That's one of our favorite things is people meet around our kitchen table, and sometimes we'll spend 2-3 hours just
Yeah.
around the table talking. And so it's going to be kind of that, just doing life together and figuring things out.
And I think even if you don't end up in a group or leading one, you can do this on your own. Like, it doesn't have to be like, invite a neighbor that you never talk to,
Yeah.
right? Just to come over for dinner. Maybe you talk about them a lot. But you've never sat down and you kind of know their name, but you don't know anything about their story. You don't know anything about them. Like, just invite them over for dinner and spend some time together. And even in your normal group of friends, maybe you get together with friends a lot, but you never talk about Jesus. Like, you're just getting together and doing other things. Find a way to work Jesus into those conversations and experiences, and you'll find encouragement there.
And with these small groups, I mean, there's going to be people that come to these things that'll never come through these doors without first going to something like that. I could envision small groups happening in Elkhorn, Kemper, different places, these small groups happening. And if we have 20 small groups, each reaching about 10 people, that's more than we can get in here.
They could become little house churches or,
Yeah.
Across the, what is a church? It doesn't have to have a name. It's just a body of believers getting together, breaking bread, sharing word, growing, changing lives. Like, that could happen all over this county in people's homes. And
Sounds like what we've been talking about the last month or so.
Yep. Just keep going on the kid stuff. You just roll through that, and then we'll go into.
And so part of what we are doing as to help, because there's so much. I mean, like you're seeing this multiplication happen, is we're adding a kids ministry coordinator for Wednesday night. And so we've asked, where's Adam and Amber? Where's Amber? I see Adam back there. Amber, here, y'all walk up here for a minute. And so a lot of you guys know Adam and Amber. And so they're going to come on as our kids coordinators. And so what does that mean, right? Like, we're figuring that part out a little bit.
Yeah. and they oversaw a lot of what Chris is doing from a volunteer standpoint for several years. And so now that we've got Chris here full time, he's helping carry a bunch of that load, and they can really focus.
And so what they're doing is they're running around upstairs like crazy. You can hear whenever they show up, it's just do-do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do. And so they're getting everything kind of going. They help with troubleshooting. If problems happen, somebody gets sick, they figure out how to take care of that. They're making sure the food, and they've got different things, supplies and stuff. But more importantly, the most important thing they're doing is they're loving on every child who walks through those doors up there. Listen, you're going to have to go a long way to find people I love more than these two on this planet. And they're doing a fabulous job. And I can't wait to watch this bloom, to see how God's going to just, he's making that brand new up there. And it's going to be amazing. So, right here, this is going to
give them a big hand. We're so thankful for them. We also, do some special events throughout the year, and they're really so the kindergarten to sixth grade space will be the age group that they're working with closely. Special events, back to school bashes, VBS, all these kinds of things that
encouraging, empowering the leaders
that's
that are
it.
Up there.
Yeah.
And so there's a whole lot happening upstairs.
So you've also got all kinds of stuff with the youth that'll be new this year. Youth Sunday is going to be leading.
It's coming up in May.
In May, so
the youth are going to take over this service, and they're going to do everything from start to finish. We've got a youth praise band that's been playing the past few weeks, and they're leading our youth group on Wednesday night in worship. And so Beck and Tim have took a hold of that back there, and you see Tim playing bass today. But they have kind of took a hold of that, and that goes back into lead. We've identified them as got all these gifts and talents, and they were looking for a place, and we said, let's just cut them loose. And basically we just said, would you? And then they're like, next
just let them go.
We're playing music the next week.
Yeah.
And so it's been awesome to watch them live into this.
Amen.
So Youth Sunday's coming up. The youth band is happening.
Mission trip we talked about earlier.
This just going to Western Kentucky, and we're inviting you to be a part of that and helping us fundraise and stuff to make sure. And part of our goal with the fundraising is whenever a child gets on the bus, they don't need a nickel until they get off the bus.
Right.
Like we cover every meal, every event, every activity, everything. And so we offer scholarships for those, there's a payment thing that happens that they pay part of it, have an investment, but we also offer scholarships. And that's what a lot of this goes for, is to cover some of those costs that are associated with that.
All right, so let's roll into, we also got our women's ministry with Ramona Robinson. She's not here today, but they'll have a spring study, I'm sure, that they're working on. Then they usually have a one-day event. And so this leadership, this is all about what you see in Nehemiah in chapter 3. When you get there, it's like he comes in, we're going to rebuild this wall. And how do we expand? How do we do that? And it was literally like each family took a portion of the wall. Like if you lived next to this portion, then that person became a leader to get a local group together and said, well, let's rebuild our portion. If everybody's rebuilding their portion of the wall, or they're reaching their neighborhood, or they're using their gift, then all of a sudden this thing starts to come together, and it's amazing. So talking about facilities efficiency. How do we expand? How do we grow when we're at capacity on Sunday mornings? And we were getting into capacity upstairs on Wednesday nights. And so talk a little bit about the remodel that's happening upstairs.
So we talked about how many kids are here on a Wednesday night. So one of the things that we wanted to do, especially as Adam and Amber are moving into this new role, is have a corporate worship space, have a big gathering space. So me and Jared said, why don't we just take down these 2 walls? Right? And simple enough. You can take down 2 walls, paint a little bit.
We sketched it out. It was easy to draw.
Yeah, we got in crayon, right?
Yep.
And it was easy, and we said, that can't be that bad. Well, they come in, of course, it's load-bearing walls, has electricity run through it. All the things you don't want when you want the walls to be gone. But anyway, so we've had some contractors come in. On Surf Sunday, there was 15 people up there working and getting it ready for the contractors and stuff. And so the contractors came in, they put in beams. We now have this large space up there. The ceiling got painted yesterday. It's funny because we'll be in the office working, and I'll hear something going on in there. I'll go in there, and there'll be somebody working, spackling holes or something. I'm like, the mice are getting bigger. No. But it's amazing to watch that happen. And hopefully within the next couple of weeks, we'll have the walls. We're going to bring some of the prisoners over are going to paint for us, I think. We've worked out a partnership with them, and they're going to be able to come and paint. We're going to be able to pour into them for a day, and then get some new floors and put in.
Yeah, well, it's come a long way. The walls are down, beams are up, ceiling's painted, lights are ordered. We just got to paint the walls, get the floor down. Yeah. And, through all that, you're like, oh, man, we got to get a contractor now. This wasn't in the budget. Right, and so the landlord was here with us in that conversation, Janice, who owns the building, and the contractor gave us a rough estimate what it was going to be. The next Monday, she brings us a check for that much. That's the kind of God just provides and brings things out. So the walls are torn down.
And the contractor was working upstairs, and then one of the guys that works for the contractor said, how are you going to do this ceiling? We said, we thought about just painting it like it is downstairs. He said, I'll do that for you.
Yeah, and he volunteered, came on a Saturday and painted it. So awesome stuff how God's providing in that. The other big part of that is Sunday mornings, right? There's a general rule, and we don't follow a lot of rules. I mean, we follow the good ones, but the God's rules, but the expected, traditional, what you think you're going to get is probably not going to be what you get here. You will get integrity and biblical alignment. You will not get the other fluff. But one of the rules is you don't grow past 80% of your capacity on Sunday mornings, gatherings. You don't grow past 80%. That means when you get 80%, what happens if we've got 240 seats roughly in here. If we get to 180, 190 people, all of a sudden, if you're 5 minutes late and you have a family of 4, who says it gets a little uncomfortable? Has anybody been in that place where you've been a little bit late and you're like, yeah, it's kind of it just feels. And so when you have new families that come in and experience that, you think, wow, they're all ready and there's nowhere to sit and I can't get there. It just
somebody's in my seat.
Right. And Yeah, that's it.
You know what I'm saying?
Our church is so saved, even the seats are. Straight off Facebook, saw that one.
Love it. We'll be here all week.
And so then we begin to look at ourselves and say, are we going to move? Is our heart to be just comfortable with 190 people and let 50 go and then 50 new come? And it's like always this kind of revolving thing. So we can be comfortable and do that. Or did God call us into this place for something more? Is our heart to reach the families that want to be here but just can't right now? It's not like one day 300 people are going to show up. Like you don't go from 150 to 3, like it grows steadily. You can't grow with we're just out. And then with the momentum and the kids growing and COVID kind of backing off and people starting to come back, like we can feel that kind of pressure. So here's the decision we've made is that starting in April, we're going to move to 2 services on Sunday morning. Me and Bethany, it's an exciting season. Me and Bethany are praying about this. We're talking about it and then sharing it with Chris and then our elders. And we're saying, we can't not do this. Like, we didn't come to not do this. Like, I'm not going to say no just because I got to be there an hour and a half earlier on Sunday morning. Right? And if you come to the 11 o'clock service, I will have preached my sermon once already, so it might be a little better. But we're going to move to 2 services starting in April, first Sunday in April. That's the target. That's the date. We've shared that with our worship team. We've shared it with our kids' ministries. There's lots of logistical things to figure out on how do we do this. And so we're going to need your patience. We're going to need your help. We're going to need more volunteers, all those things. But what this will allow us to do is to eventually grow into a congregation of 300 to 400 people in this very place where we feel like God called us to. Does that feel like a good thing? Give God a hand in that. So right now it's looking like a 9:15 service and an 11 o'clock service on Sunday mornings. It'll be the same service, so you can choose which one works better for your family. I know we have things like we need a nursery. We got some families with small babies and kids. We're trying to figure that out. We've had a lot of people come to us around that. And we will have some offering for kids on both services. And so just keep praying as we move into this season, and then that'll be leading into Easter at the end of April.
And coffee and donuts in the middle.
Coffee and donuts in the middle. So if you come to the first service and somebody else comes to the second service, you still can cross paths, and we don't end up with 2 congregations. Does that make sense?
We're test running the
we want to be
today.
We want to be a family. It's a good test. Good run. So that's this facilities efficiency. How do we take what God's given us and reach more people with it? How do we do more with the same? And so we're also meeting at Faith Life Market some for Bible studies. That's part of that. We're using people's homes. We're just finding ways to do it. Care, congregational care. Chapter 5 of Nehemiah, there's starts to be some situations that he has to step into and care and take care of people. And that's a big part of shepherding. It's a big part of being a pastor. It's a big part of being together as we care for one another. So we got some things that line up under this too that we're working toward.
And like the small groups are part of this as our plan. We've talked about this before. Me and Jared have. Like Jesus took care of 12. And so we can't do more than he did. And so part of this is to empower people to be a part of this small group so that when life explodes, you got somewhere immediate you can turn to. You've got a group around you already that you're doing life with. That way they're already in the water. And so it's going to be amazing to see that little aspect become a part of our care team.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the Facebook groups we're kind of kicking around doing.
Yeah, we're looking at part of this at doing some Facebook groups for very specific things. Like one of them that'll be launching within the next couple of weeks, we're going to call it The Blend. And it's going to be for blended families. They have very special struggles, very specific things that they're dealing with in daily life. And if you're a part of a blended family, you know that. And so there's things, with the kids, with just different things. And so we want to create a space where we can learn from each other. We can encourage each other. And say, I've been there. This has happened. And so one for blended families. There's another one that's they're getting ready to work on, and it's for the parents of teens, right? If that ends in a specific thing.
Put me in it.
Right? Like especially like girls. And when Abby was younger, I came in, she was just crying, getting ready for the go. I said, "Baby, what's wrong?" She said, "I don't know." I said, "Me either, I'll be outside." So, So it's those things. And so we're going to create these communities online to where we're hoping to reach here, but also, with Facebook, we can reach a lot of people and maybe be able to bring them into this community and learn from other people as well.
And we got one of those, Bethany, my wife, had started called Faith Life Moms, or I think it's moved to Faith Life Moms and Wives now maybe. But that's been this amazing, just a community developed in this group that if you're not a part of, see Beth and she can make sure you get in there, where they just share what they're going through each week and then can support each other. Man, it's just a good place and a good way using technology where we can't get together physically but still be supporting, caring for each other. And so out of that, a new thing that's going to be happening this year is, and this has really been on Bethany's heart and others, but is the lack of faith-based mental health support in the community and region. Like, we've all gone through things over the last 2 years, 3 years, honestly, things that were probably there already but have come out through this difficulty, and just need to talk to somebody. And I'm not the best equipped to do that. Chris is not trained to do that. He's better at it than I am. But we can do it on a situational basis, but not a consistent. We're not licensed counselors. And so we just had this on our heart. Bethany had it on her heart, and we came across, just God worked it out. And I'll tell you what we're launching this year. We're partnering with Mountain Comp to do something we're going to offer here in the building called Renew Faith Life Counseling. And we've got Adam Butler. He's a licensed counselor. He works for Mountain Comp. And they were going to be able to deliver these services. They're going to be here. They're going to deliver the behind-the-scenes services. They're going to accept insurance. It's got the sliding scale fee. So if you don't have insurance to pay for it, it'll be income-based. Like it's like God worked everything out we've been praying in just like some kind of miracle. Mm-hmm. And you say, "Oh, I know somebody who needs that." And you might say, "Me." Here's what I want to encourage you to think about is this is not a sign of weakness. You're not weak because you go get a physical or you go to the doctor because you got a cold. Like this is literally I'd encourage everybody to go once a year. I think you ought to go once a year like you go to the dentist or whatever. Like get a checkup, talk it out, share the things, a place that's completely private with someone who knows and understands and is going to be both clinical but spiritual. Right? This is going to... And so, and we've shared that kind of around, and it's called Renew Faith Life Counseling. It's on our website. If you go to mbfc.church/renew, then you can find and you can fill out a form and request an appointment. They'll call and schedule an appointment. It's going to be starting
in the drop down
in March. Yeah, but it's under outreach, I think. Yep. On the website. So you can go find that, read more about it, read about Adam, his background. And what we found is like people are already requesting appointments. They said, "Do you have somebody that can do kids?" And so the people at Mountain Comp is like, "Man, I know so-and-so, they're a strong Christian and they'd love to be like a part of this and helping kids." And so just, will you pray for that? Anybody feel that's a need?
Amen.
Is that real and relevant as it gets? And so just pray that I just think that can be a thing. And in my dream, I'm thinking, man, if we start this here and it works, all of a sudden, Rooted Church, it can be a part of the offering for these church plants and people we're helping across the region that one day, 2 days a month, they can offer those services there. And so just be this wraparound thing that we just believe God's in the middle of it. And I'm so thankful for Bethany kind of exploring her heart and dream and vision there and putting a lot of that together and dreaming about it. And so we're excited about that this year. I'm going to wrap us up just talking about the outreach ministries we talked about. Faith Life Market, big dream this year, more food there. We'd love to have a food vendor, consistent, food, breakfast, lunch offering. The Battle Line Boxing Gym, we're this close to a lead trainer. Would y'all pray for Cesar Rodriguez? You don't know him. You might know him. If you used to go to El Pancho like 12 years ago, you probably met him. He was one of the best boxers to ever come out of Mayfield's gym. And he's a Christian. He lives in Lexington now. He's an entrepreneur. He knows boxing. Like, he's all the things we prayed about. And he saw the story on the boxing gym, and we're just praying with him right now. Like, how can we do this? Can you help us take this day to day? And Jody and I have met with him. We stood in the gym, and we prayed for it. And I believe God's at work there. This year, the gym is going to be taken off. And so just keep praying for that place. And then Together for the Mountains, as we move into that, reaching out to new communities and just being a blessing as much as we can. I'm going to close with Nehemiah 2:20. At the end, after he said in Nehemiah 2, he said, let us rebuild the wall. See, and they all said, all right, let's do it. And so when you start building, what happens, when you start building for God's kingdom, you face opposition. Like, things are going to come against it. Something comes against it. And so there was this group, Sanballat, and I can't remember Tobias maybe, start making fun of them. And they make fun of them the whole time. They're like, oh, what are you building? If a fox ran across that wall, it'd fall over. That's literally what they tell them. And so you'll feel that way. Somebody will say something similar to that to you. And this was Nehemiah's resolve. He said, I replied, the God of heaven. Did we start singing How Great is Our God this morning? Not How Great is New Beginnings. Not How Great is Jared. Please don't ever sing that. How great is Chris? How great is, Main Street and this building? We sang, how great is our God. He said, the God of heaven will help us succeed. We, his servants, will start rebuilding this wall. My ask for you this morning is to help us rebuild this wall. Like, you may be on the fence. You may come to New Beginnings saying, I went once, I've been a month, it's kind of like a thing, I'm kind of there, I don't know. My ask this morning is come all in with us. Yeah. Let's rebuild the wall, share the real gospel, make Jesus, like, people. The thing is, people here, they know, they've heard of Jesus, and some of them have already made decisions. Like, they've experienced him one way or the other, and most of the time, it's not been in good ways. Okay? So we got hard work to do, because we got to tear down some walls before we rebuild it. But we got to do it together. So we're just, please go in all this. If God's calling you to go in all in with us, please let us know and be willing to go.
When we were talking about all this, I was reminded of something that happened to me. It's been several years ago, 5 or 6 years ago. I don't remember exactly. And maybe you remember when this happened. But I was sitting in my office here in town, and just I was doing a Bible study, getting ready for a boys group, and I was just at my desk, and it was like the building went. I was like, what was that? And I thought, some fool has hit this building. The pictures just kind of shook. Just once. And so I go over and I look out the window down on Main Street here, and I look, and people are coming out into the street. Well, there was an earthquake in North Carolina, and this was a shock wave that came through Pikeville, right? And so I think about all these things that we're talking about doing, the things that have happened. And I think about that situation, how many miles away something huge happened. And I felt the effects of it. Think about this counseling and the things that are going to happen, how generations are going to be changed. Think about these children and how seeds are being planted, and how they're going to go and they're going to have their family, and they're going to be able to change things in their lives and their families, and they're going to maybe lead ministries. They're going to be pastors, but they're going to be taking this gospel torch for the rest of their life because of the seeds that's been planted. Many miles away, effects are going to be felt of the things that happen here. This is going to be the epicenter of something awesome. And so I'm reminded of Ephesians 3. And I'm just going to ask, man, would you be in prayer for these things? Listen to this. When I think of all this, when I think about the gym, Faith Life, when I think about those kids, right? When I think of all of this, I fall to my knees and I pray to the Father, the creator of everything in heaven and on earth. And I pray from his glorious, unlimited resources that he will empower you with inner strength from the Spirit. Then Christ, right? Then Christ will make his home in your hearts as you trust him. Your roots will grow down deep into God's love and keep you strong. And may you have the power to understand as God's people should. This is the key right here. This is awesome. May you have the power to understand as God's people should how wide, how long, how high, and how deep God's love is. May you experience the love of Christ, though it's too great to fully understand, that you will be made complete with all the fullness of life and power that comes from God. It's amazing. And I'm watching this unfold every day here through this place. We've been set free to do these things. God's given us the power. He's given us the strength, and he's given us the resources. And now he says, go be the people that I've called you to be. Live as I've called you to live. And so he turns these graves into gardens. We're going to see 3 lights turned on next week. We're going to get to see people move from darkness to light. And you get to see that not just here in these walls, but we talked about how you were seeing it in the community too. God calls us to go. So as we sing this song, if you feel something on your heart, if you feel a movement in your spirit, know that God has called you to be a minister wherever you are. Maybe it's at your home, maybe it's at your work, maybe it's at a school.